Hey, my friends, welcome to the Dallas Daily Show, coming at you from the C2S home studios today. Today's topic: content, but not satisfied. Woo! Let's get into the conversation. Okay, so there is this practice that we have, and it's a practice I actually. Let's start again. Okay, my friends. So there is this practice, I guess you'd say, that I have. And it was actually something that I learned in business from one of my mentors. And I think she is next week's, yeah, Virginia Muski's, the conversation with her. She's our midweek mind shift interview series. We're going to be talking with her a little bit, but she's the one who taught me this practice. So thank you, Virginia. At the top of every coaching call, she would do a two-word check-in and a win. And that is a process I've adopted in my own coaching. And it really helps, especially when you're running group training or mastermind calls. You do a quick two-word check-in with everybody and then a win for the week or a win for the month, however regularly you have those calls. The win is usually like, hey, what's something professional in your life that you've won, or something spiritual or physical or relational, or where have you won in the last, let's say, week? The two-word check-in is simply two words to describe how you're feeling or thinking in that exact moment. And so sometimes people will use words like happy, hungry. They'll use like opposite words. Sometimes they'll say like keeping strong will be their two-word check-in. So it's a way for them to think creatively about how they are feeling in the exact present moment. And I think it's a really fascinating practice. So at the top of my coaching calls, this is something I do. I do the two-word check-in. And one of the guys on one of our group calls this last week, when I asked that, his phrase was content but not satisfied. And boom, it hit me. And it hit me in so many in so many ways. Content but not satisfied. But here's where it hit me. Isn't that kind of a sweet spot that we're aiming for? Isn't that kind of a beautiful place where we go, yeah, I want to be content in my present moment, but not satisfied because I ain't yet where I want to be. I think that's a beautiful thought, because you could contrast it in two other ways, right? You could not be content and dissatisfied. You could be discontent and also dissatisfied, right? You could be in burnout mode. You could be in hustle mode. Maybe one day we'll talk about the various quadrants of energy on one of our mind shift conversations. But you could be discontent and dissatisfied. You could be burnt out and hating your life, right? So that's one extreme. And that is most likely the trajectory of the future you want to avoid. Or you could be content and complacent. Ooh, that's where you become stagnant. That's where you start playing it safe, right? So content and complacement could also have you on a trajectory of a future you that you want to avoid. So this idea of content but not satisfied really struck me, because there's something about contentment. It's beautiful. It's peaceful, right? It's filled with gratitude. It says, I'm content in this moment. I'm present. I'm here. I'm content. I'm at peace. It feels good. But then there's also this idea of I'm not satisfied being, and I'm still hungry for it. I'm still purpose driven. I'm still pursuing more. I still want to increase, right? So while it seems on the surface content but not satisfied as these opposing ideas, I don't know that they're actually opposing. I think they actually pull very well together, because they pull us toward the future you that you want to be. This idea of, no, I'm okay with where I am, and yet I know the possibility exists for me not to fall into the complacency or into what we talked about yesterday, the drift, right? But definiteness of purpose allows me to link to not being satisfied. Means I'm driven for more. I'm purpose driven. When I work with a lot of faith oriented and purpose driven entrepreneurs in our Called to Success Academy, And when we talk about it on the Entrepreneur Bible Study, when we get into those things, there is this version of you that exists that at which you have to be at peace. You have to love your present. See, a lot of us despise our present because our past dictated a present reality that we despise. And instead of despising our current situation to the point it propels us to be dissatisfied and moving forward, what we do is we equate the dissatisfaction of our present situation with the dissatisfaction with ourselves, and it breaks us. Man, I'm preaching to myself right now. Too often, we equate the hatred of the situation, and I know I'm using hatred, and it's a very strong word, but too often we equate the dissatisfaction of our present results and our present reality with a dissatisfaction, or dare I say, a hatred of ourselves. And that's not content, but dissatisfied. That's actually discontent and dissatisfied. If you hate yourself, my friend, there's room for love. There's room for an inner peace that's available for you. I'm totally off of my notes and my thoughts, but I feel like we need to sit here for a little bit. There's a peace that can come over you if you'll learn to love yourself a little bit. So these two are not opposites of each other, but maybe they work in tandem to say, I will learn to love myself. And maybe we just need to do a whole podcast about learning to love yourself. Maybe I'll switch up. I've got one tomorrow that I was going to do. Maybe we'll switch it up and we'll talk about learning to love yourself, because I think this might be important. In this entire trajectory of everything we talked about this whole week of storing memories in more than just our mind, we talked about that on Monday. And then this loop that's been ruining our life and running our life, we talked about that on Tuesday. And then yesterday's mind shift of avoiding the drift. We talked about Napoleon Hill's book with that. Maybe here with this idea of content but dissatisfied is like, yes, I am dissatisfied with where I am and I want to project forward, but too often we don't anchor to the future you. Like, we're not so in love with the future you. So instead we just express dissatisfaction. And because we hate ourselves in the present moment, it makes it very painful, and it keeps us actually locked in the drift and in the loop. Whoa. Where are you at in your life right now? Where are you at? Are you grateful for where you are and yet still taking steps for where you feel called to go? Is your discontent, is it driven by this comparison game? Because if so, that's the old trajectory too. Or is it driven towards this future you calling that you feel you have? I'm going to just stop there. I've never done this on the pod before. I'm going to just stop there. I think these are things we should ponder. Are there 3 things you can write down today that you're content with, that you're grateful for, that you can be at peace with in your present reality? And then can you write down 1 thing that you're still committed to changing about yourself? So we've got a contentment, gratitude practice, right? 3 gratitudes and 1 growth. I think that's a good actionable takeaway for today. And we're just going to stop there. Yeah. You are loved, my friend, and you are worthy of love. Have a championship day.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more tools, go to dallasdailyshow.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.